So going into the game without the suspended Casemiro, accompanied with the long-term absence of Christian Eriksen, was definitely the main subject of interest for Ten Hag's side, and from the start of the game we saw the 2-3-2-3 shape in the build-up shift to that familiar 3-1-6 shape in possession, with Diego Dalot being the fullback to retain a deeper position, creating a back three with Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane, with Sabitzer filling Casemiro's void in that single pivot position. Leeds lined up in a very Red Bull-esque 4-2-3-1 shape with the wide midfielders, Gnonto on the left and Sinistera to start on the right, even though Somerville did come on very early on after he got injured. Either side of Jack Harrison, who worked in tandem with Patrick Bamford, mostly as a front two throughout the game. And right from the off, I was extremely impressed with Leeds' pressing system. They didn't engage United extremely high up, allowing Varane and Martinez to guide the ball out of the box, but they did still look to initiate pressure fairly high up, in a pretty unique man-to-man press, with the two wide midfielders responsible for pressing United's fullbacks, with Sinistera or Somerville on Shaw and Gnonto on Dalot, with Harrison making a concerted effort to cut the passing lane into Sabitzer by sitting just in front of him, whilst Patrick Bamford started from Leeds' right side, looking to press Martinez, and so it was clear that Leeds' objective was to stop United building up through Lisandro Martinez on the left and force them over to the right side with Varane and Dalot. And so because Dalot retained a deeper position in order to create a back three in possession and Shaw pushed higher up on the left side, Leeds' defensive shape became a narrow lopsided 4-3-3, with Bamford and Harrison forcing Varane over to Dalot on the right, with Gnonto ready and waiting to initiate the press as soon as Dalot received the ball, affording him no space to carry the ball forward and more often than not forcing him backwards. If Leeds had gone with a more conventional 4-4-2 shape out of possession against United's 3-6-1, then United would have had a numerical overload against a front two, and so this would have allowed them to circulate the ball from side to side across the back line to either Dalot or Martinez, who would have had time and space to carry the ball forward or pick out an incisive pass. And we saw the effectiveness of Leeds' press inside the first minute. Bamford and Harrison are positioned perfectly, cutting off Varane's passing lanes to the left and through to the centre, forcing him predictably out to the right, where Gnonto initiates a press, forcing Dalot down the line to Fernandes, who has drifted out wide from a central position, but because Leeds have matched United high up the pitch man to man, Tyler Adams is able to follow Fernandes wide and immediately put him under pressure, and from here, because McKennie is close to Sabitzer and Harrison is on Varane, all of Fernandes' passing options in field are cut off. And so this means that he holds onto the ball for too long, allowing Leeds to swarm him by compressing their shape over to the left side, having four players in close proximity to the ball, meaning that Fernandes is suffocated in possession, which allows Adams to win the ball inside United's half. From here the ball gets moved on quickly to Gnonto in an advanced position on the left flank, with United's backline and midfield out of position. But from here there's still a massive amount to do, and it's absolutely brilliant from Gnonto, who plays a slick 1-2 with Bamford, but once he gets into position just outside of the box, he's confronted by Fred, and I think if this is Casemiro, then Gnonto is almost certainly stopped in his tracks with a firm tackle. But as I've said before, Fred isn't a natural defensive midfielder, and approaching these one-on-one situations he's far too flat-footed, and so Gnonto is able to glide past him pretty much with no resistance. And once he's in this shooting position, the strike is incredible, hard and low into the near bottom corner, giving David De Gea no chance and giving Leeds the perfect start, and it all came from a counter-pressing situation, initiated by Leeds forcing United over to the right side, and using an aggressive man-to-man press to win the ball and then attack directly after the turnover. But we did see United then shift away from the back three shape in possession and have Dalot advance and pull wider in an attempt to stretch the Leeds midfield by drawing Gnonto wider. And this was the right tactical move from United, however I didn't think they had enough positional fluidity to take advantage of it. See, with Leeds using a front three to man press United's back line, the best way of playing through this would be to have Dalot drag Gnonto wide and deep, as he did by advancing down the right, but at the same time you want a seamless positional interchange, which would involve one of the advanced midfielders, likely Bruno Fernandes on the right side, dropping into the space vacated by Gnonto after he follows Dalot's movement. From here, if Tyler Adams, a Leeds central midfielder on Fernandes' side, decides to retain a central position in Leeds' 4-4-2 to retain the shape, then this affords Fernandes the space and time to receive the ball from Varane wide of Jack Harrison and Patrick Bamford, from where he can then carry the ball forward or pick a pass. If Tyler Adams follows Fernandes to continue the man-to-man press, then this drags the American out of that central midfield position, allowing someone like Rashford from the right to drift infield at the same time that Dalot overlaps, and for Fernandes drops deep, opening up a passing lane in behind the Leeds midfield for Varane or Lisandro Martinez to try to thread a ball. But certainly in the first half, when Leeds were able to get back into their shape behind the ball, Ten Hag's side found it hard to break them down, and their best opportunities were created via quick transitioning attacks. Here we see as Leeds have possession midway inside their own half, United press them in their usual 4-1-2-3 shape, with Rashford and Garnacho maintaining high and narrow positions either side of Weghorst, which allows them to apply pressure to the Leeds centre-backs as soon as they receive the ball, and for Weghorst to remain central and cut the passing lane into McKennie or Adams in that deep central midfield position. As Wöber, the left-sided centre-back, strides forward with the ball past Rashford, he looks for a pass into the left-back stroke, but Dalot has pushed up aggressively on the right side behind Rashford, maintaining the vertically compact pressing shape, and so is able to intercept the loose pass. And when he does this, because of United's advanced narrow pressing shape, the likes of Fernandes, Rashford and Garnacho are in the perfect position to attack after the counter press. And on the far side on the left, you can see that because Garnacho has retained a higher narrow position, rather than following Ayling the right back into a wider and deeper position, he now has at least 10 to 15 yards head start on the right back, and Dalot does well to play the pass straight away, which is crucial to the counter press, as the longer he holds onto the ball, the more time the Leeds players who are out of position at this point have to get back into position and cut off the space for the United attackers. And so when Dalot releases Fernandes, United now have Weghorst, Rashford and crucially Garnacho on the far side, goal side of their Leeds markers, running into the final third, and Fernandes does excellently to first see Garnacho on the far side and then get the timing and the weight of the crossfield switch perfect, and from here Garnacho's control is excellent and he does well to release a shot before Ayling can get back, and it's not an easy chance but it just whispers wide of Mellier's post. And we also saw Fernandes create an even better chance for Garnacho 10 minutes later, when Weghorst did excellently to hold up the ball and lay it off into the path of Fernandes, and credit to Garnacho, he makes a fantastic run between Ayling and Koch, and it's a run that is essential for United to create chances when transitioning the attack quickly, as if he holds a wider position and makes a run down the outside of Ayling, then he's going to receive the ball in a wider position, and from here he will be able to isolate the right back inside of the box in a 1v1 position, but by making a diagonal run across Ayling, once Fernandes finds him with a superb first time pass, he's now bearing down on goal in a 1v1 situation. And to be honest, if he goes down after Mellier's loose challenge, I do think it would be a red card for the Leeds keeper, but Garnacho stays honest, and from here it's one of those where he's been unsettled after going past Meslier and can't quite release a shot on his left foot, and by the time he does well to come back on his right, Wöber has already made up the ground to get back on the line and makes a very good headed clearance. And so Garnacho will feel that he should have scored after making such a good run, but I do think it was a lot harder a chance than it may have looked live, but at the top level you do have to be taking these sorts of chances. However, despite United improving as the first half went on, straight after the break they conceded a second. Now this goal was more a series of minor mistakes than one major mistake, and the first came from Garnacho losing possession as United looked to counter, but from here United should be a lot more organised at the back to deal with the Leeds attack. You can see here that as United's defence is pushing out of the box, the whole right side or Leeds' left side is vacated. Bruno Fernandes probably should recognise a potential danger and maybe hold a deeper position temporarily, but I think Varane has to take control here and organise the defence a bit better and make sure that Somerville and Gnonto aren't sitting as open as they are. But when Leeds win possession, they do well to move the ball out to Gnonto quickly, and from here the only real danger is Somerville's underlapping run. And so whilst it isn't a major mistake, I do think a centre-back of Varane's quality should be recognising the danger, stepping across a lot earlier, so that when Somerville does get slipped in, he's a lot closer to him and can stop the cross at source, as when Somerville gets into this position and puts a ball across the box, there's not much that either Varane or David De Gea can do, as the ball deflects off Varane and goes past De Gea into the far corner. And so this goal was definitely more of a lapse in concentration rather than a significant error. But the main issue for me in this game for United stemmed from the personnel rather than the system, with Fred in particular being a massive downgrade on both Casemiro and Eriksen in games like this. Here we see as Varane has the ball in front of the Leeds system, he plays a pass breaking the front line of Harrison and Bamford into Fred, who from here at this stage of the game has to be turning and looking forward. However, without even looking over his shoulder, he plays a pass straight back to Varane, giving United no ball progression at all. And here is another example where initially Fred does well to link play with both Sancho and Rashford, but he gets into this position, and in my opinion a top level player should be looking to either play a pass on the inside of the Leeds fullback, releasing Pellistri in behind, or at the very least playing a pass into Bruno Fernandes. However, he completely misplaces a pass, leading to the breakdown of the attack, and there were at least 2 or 3 other examples throughout the second half of Fred sloppily giving away possession, and it was this inability to keep the play flowing and progressing the ball forward that was the fundamental reason for United not being able to break through the opposition as they usually do with Casemiro and Eriksen. But it was Sancho's introduction into the game that was the turning point for United, and they would get a goal back after Sabitzer received the ball in the centre of the pitch, did excellently to bypass the pressure, and even though it wasn't a fantastic pass out to Pellistri, the direct intent leads to Pellistri being able to pick up the ball, lay it off for Dalot, who delivers a superb cross, and from here Rashford becomes clutch yet again with a Ronaldo-esque header into the corner past Meslier to give United hope. And United's second goal then came from the left side and heavily involved both Shaw and Sancho. Here we see Shaw driving forward with the ball, and he moves the ball into Sancho's path in a wide position on the left flank, and from here Shaw makes the exact right run, underlapping Sancho, and this is where Sancho thrives, being able to receive the ball, slow the pace down and have the vision and timing, as well as a weight of pass to thread a ball through Somerville and McKennie, releasing Shaw in the box, and from here Sancho backs up the play, receives the ball after Shaw's blocked cross, and his first touch allows him to get the ball out of his feet to take the shot quickly, catching Meslier off guard, and so even though the shot isn't placed perfectly in the corner, because he's taken the shot so quickly, Meslier doesn't have time to react, and it goes through Meslier into the net, putting United level. Now from here, with 20-25 minutes remaining, I think most people expected United to eventually get that winning goal, but it didn't come. However, the game wasn't drawn from what happened later on, it came from what happened earlier on in the game, and to give a brief diagnosis, I think without Eriksen or Casemiro in central midfield, United just don't have the ball progression or the press resistance that they need, with Sabitzer being more of a Fred upgrade, and Fred just being poor in games like this, where he's expected to progress the ball forward via his passing against a deep defensive block. Which comes back to the point I've made consistently over the past year or so, that Fred is very limited as a player, really only being capable of playing as a pressing central midfielder, which is needed certainly in bigger games, but in games like this he's rendered somewhat as a liability. Nevertheless, I think the main positive is obviously Jadon Sancho, who was fantastic in terms of his pass selection and creativity from the left side, as well as getting the equaliser, whilst I also think Lisandro Martinez and Luke Shaw had fantastic games, as they usually do, and both players ended up making the difference in this match. Now I am planning on doing videos on Sancho, Martinez and Luke Shaw next week or so, so let me know in the comments which one you want to see first. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when those videos do come out. You can check the description for some of my other videos as well. Give the video a like, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more content as well.